I was a monk for 12 years, a Hindu monk, and I spent that time studying the mind and meditation, effectiveness, being a powerful person, and trying to understand how to manipulate the externalities of the mind, as my guru's guru would refer to it. So everything outside of ourself is we find that it's not out of our uh, it's not in our control.
Uh-huh.
So basically a philosopher would look, or a mystic would look at the outside world and know that it's not in their direct control. So what they figure out through a process of introspection is that the inside, the mind, and your reactions to everything outside of you is in your control. Now, the ironic part is that once you start living that way and realize that the inside is all you control, the outside actually becomes exactly what you want it to be. And it's it's the ultimate irony, maybe, because we're always trying to force ourselves to fight with this and that and that. But when we actually develop ourself, and um, when we attain self mastery, or at least to a certain degree, everything else outside recognizes it subconsciously or unconsciously, and we start to live in a reality that is quite enjoyable.
So,
So that's why I kind of talk to people about, and that's probably why um, I'm here talking to you.
wow. I mean, everything what you've said can be elaborated into a lifetime worth of talks and and workshops. I'm just intrigued by myself as well on this path of the self. And when you say the self, really, yeah, I know we can't really put it in a nutshell, but if you could maybe try to describe it in a summary, like what is the self? Because a lot of us on the path of yoga, meditation, or spiritual path are striving for the self within. We heard so many gurus talk about it. We've heard, numerous like uh, people on the path as well, speaking about the self and mindfulness and going within. What is this to you?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So the self is literally ourself. So it's who we really are behind or underneath the different layers that we experience reality in. So one of those layers is that we experience reality in is the body. Another layer is the mind, and then the other layer is nature, or in Sanskrit it's called prakriti. So that which we experience is through these layers, and once we get past those layers to what really sees through all of it, we realize that it's us the whole time. It's beyond the mind and the body, and it is self, or a soul or spirit. And so there's two kinds of stages to getting to that point, right? It's it's self-actualization and self-realization. So self-actualization is a common term. I think it's common, where people start to realize who and what they are, or what they're capable of, and that they're beyond their emotions. Okay, that's like the first step on the path. Is okay, now I'm aware, I'm mindful, and I'm observant that I create my own reality. Okay, so once we have that intellectual understanding, eventually someone seeks to experience that which sees all that and experiences everything. So that's self-realization. That's what Hindu mystics have always declared to be the seat of our consciousness. And that's going through a process of attention, concentration, meditation, and contemplation to then experience or link back up with who we really are. And that's linking that. It's like here's your experience in reality in the present moment, and then here's who we really are as spirit, as consciousness, and there's this merger. And that's the ultimate meditation. That's self-realization. It's linking back up with spirit. But then we have, it's temporary, right? And then we have to go back. We have this duality that we have to experience. So we have to live life in the moment. We have the past, we have the future, we have who we really are. And meditation is a way to kind of come back in and out, in and out, in and out. And we slowly, over time, after enough meditation, that gap actually starts to lessen. And it's like, instead of going so far away from ourselves into our relationship, into our emotions, into our work, into our boss, into that guy who hates me, into that guy who rear-ended me last week, we come out, and it gets a little bit closer. And coming out is not actually that far away from spirit. And it's just these little small jumps. And then eventually they stick and they stay. And we experience the outside world from within instead of experiencing the outside world out here and have to like work to look in. Then we just always look out from within. That's the idea.
That's really well explained, actually, in a nutshell, I think. But there's a common question which a lot of people have this. How long does it take? I've heard the same.
Well, if you buy my program in 5 weeks for $9.99, no.
Excellent. Well, what's your program called?
Yeah, exactly. How long does it take? So the good thing about that question is that I don't need to answer it. And I say that because that's what we call the path. Like, that's what self-discovery is. And we're all on the path, right? So what we need to do is enjoy the path. We enjoy the process. We understand that it's kind of a game. It's kind of a challenge that we're just constantly trying to conquer, and it's an adventure. And so it may take a very long time, or it may take no time at all. But the thing is, no matter what, there's still evolution. There's still working. There's still an exhaustive measure of challenges that we have to keep going through. And trying to jump all the way to the end and have this amazing, blissful non-experience inside of ourselves and have self-realization, that's a big selling point. It's very sexy. It looks good. Transform your life, with this one technique and things like that. But the reality is, we can't just jump all the way there and make this merger, right? Because that's why the path is so mysterious. That's why no matter what, this search will continue beyond us, beyond every human that's alive right now, and everyone that's coming will still have the filters of body, mind, even the various levels of the mind, and the world around us. And it's a scale that goes upward like this, and we have up and down points, and we don't often see the big picture, right? We just experience the down and the up on this graph. So the key is to zoom out, see that the whole thing is one big long journey, and not to seek for the end. And that's the magic of it all. When we stop seeking for the end, that's when this actually happens.
Wow.